Okay, so last class we left off talking about monopolistic competition. All right. Now, remember, key things about them. All right. There were a large number of firms, so that's where we get the competition side of it. But they do sell a differentiated product. Okay. So remember, differentiated means the same but different. So soda, right? They're all sodas, but they're also different. Coke, Pepsi, Sprite. Which one do you like, Joseph?
Coke Zero.
Coke Zero. That's a good one. That's a good choice there, right? So basically, they're all,
Better than the normal one.
huh?
It's better than the normal Coke.
Really? Okay. All right. Okay. I'm more of a Dr.
Burger
Pepper
Shack.
guy myself, so
Burger Shack is the best, Matthew.
I gotta agree with you there. Okay. So basically, what we're having here is because they're all. What do you say, Joseph?
Nothing.
Nothing. So basically, because they're all different, right? They're all going to have a different demand curve. Now, it's not going to be horizontal, okay? Because they're not identical. So there will be a downward sloping demand curve where each firm is producing a close substitute. Okay? Now, this does mean they become a price maker. So they're going to make the price. Where are they going to set their price? How do they basically find that? Basically, where does a monopolistic competition choose to operate? Where at, Tomas? I can't hear you. Still no. Hmm. Well, they're going to choose to operate where profits are maximized, which happens where?
Where marginal cost equals marginal benefit.
Revenue. Yep.
Revenue. Sorry, revenue.
Okay. So that's what we're going to do. Also, with monopolistic competition, right? There's easy entry, easy exit. So basically, you can fairly easily just start up a business. Maybe you just need to get a business license or something like that. Or maybe you need to do some advertising just to get started, but fairly easy to just start producing today. Alrighty. So again, we're going to do profit maximization, which happens at the point where we are
MC equals MR.
correct. Okay. Now, monopolistic competition will have a downward sloping demand curve, which does create a downward sloping marginal revenue curve as well. All right.
Wasn't there another graph that was also like that?
Yeah. A monopoly graph. Okay. Now, the difference between monopoly and monopolistic, a monopoly is going to
All
be.
right, the monopoly is just like you're the only one in the business. Here, there's different types of products, but like there's one whole business.
Well, monopolistic competition, there's many firms. Okay, so like think of the burgers, right? We have all those like Burger Shack, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, right? But they all sell a different type of burger. So the same product, same burger, but they're all different. So a monopoly would be just a single burger producer. Monopolistic competition has many. Okay? And so because there are substitutes, that means demand is fairly elastic. Monopoly is going to.
Matthew,
Yeah, what's up, Tomas?
can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you are.
All right, question. Are you showing something on the board? Because on my end, I can't see anything.
Oh, you can't see anything? Yeah, I am sharing my screen. If you
Okay,
want,
it's
you can
not
jump over
working.
to the button call.
No, I'll try a different browser, see if it makes it better.
Okay. Yeah. So Monopoly is going to be more inelastic because there's only one, but because there's many substitutes for monopolistic competition, it's going to be fairly elastic. Ready? So we're still going to be having this graph here. So we'll still have downward sloping demand, downward sloping marginal revenue curve. Now,
We need the marginal curve,
we do.
the
So
marginal cost. the Nike.
Yeah. So let's draw profits first. Okay. So we have demand curve, marginal revenue. What do we need next?
You need the marginal cost
Yeah.
and the profit. The profit max is where MR equals MC.
So that happens right here. Okay. We'll find the quantity and we'll find the price. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
where does the ATC go?
Profits.
Yep, for earning profits.
Um. Under.
Yeah, right. So we should draw the ATC like here.
Yeah. So that's the profit.
So right here, okay, that's where the ATC is. So this whole area here is our profits. And the reason we know they're profits is because price is greater than ATC. Let's focus on losses for a second. How do you know you're making losses?
When your average total cost is higher than your profit max, no?
Yep. We'll have something like this. Tomas, can you see it now?
No, I'm on my phone, but I can't see it. I just see like a white screen. I don't see
Oh
like.
yeah, on your phone it's not gonna let you see.
Yeah, maybe you can jump over to the
Yeah, I was on
call. Okay? I'll meet you there.
the the Google Meet one.
That's the one.
All right. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. So again, we do MR equals MC. Find the quantity. Find the price by going up to the what?
To demand.
Demand. Alrighty, let's see if this works now. Perfect. Yep. Ooh. So this is where we're making losses. Okay, you do MR equals MC, find the quantity, find the price, and then you're going to go up to the ATC to find the average total cost, and therefore you have this area here as your losses. Okay, but now we're making losses because our price is less than ATC, but we're going to operate why?
Because the firms are gonna have to shut down, right?
Because they're
Some firms shut down, so the prices will go back up to the ATC.
now,
And
just so
then
you are correct in that the fact that the number of firms does change the demand. Okay, that's true. However, when we're trying to see if we're operating or not, you need to make sure your price is above your AVC.
all right.
Yeah, and you're going to shut down whenever your price is less than your AVC. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So let's talk about a thing called the long run adjustment. Okay, so basically, how do you know you're in the long run? Yep. All inputs are variable. So on this one, the number of firms can change. We can have more or less firms. So in the long run, what we're going to see here is firms are going to enter or exit. Now, why would more firms enter a market?
Maybe because there's more profits. Like there's
Exactly. So Tomas was talking about a growing market. A growing market would signal profits being made, right? So basically, people want to get ahead of this, right? They want to enter the market because there's profits. So new firms will enter when there's profits being made. So let's talk about soda real quick, okay? Or let's talk about burgers. So Burger Shack's operating, right? And then all of a sudden, more people buy burgers, okay? So they're earning more profits. What does a competitor do? A competitor will start to sell burgers now. So what happens to the demand for Burger Shack? Yeah, right. So because of another competitor, they're going to go to that competitor and not Burger Shack. So basically, they're going to steal away some of that demand. Yep. Now, if there are losses being made, firms are going to exit. We're going to exit the market when there are losses. So basically, that competition that Burger Shack had, they're going to shut down. And because they shut down, guess what? Everybody goes back to Burger Shack. So that will add some demand to the remaining firms. The main thing I want you to know here is that when there are profits, firms do what? Firms will enter. This is the same thing as perfect competition. Okay? When there are losses, firms are going to exit. Yep. So that is the long run adjustment. So let's see what happens here. So we're making profits here. So first thing, making profits. And we know that because you're operating here, that's your price, and that's your ATC. So profits. What happens in the long run?
wouldn't we need to see the average variable cost?
Well, actually, no, because you are earning profits. So, in a way,
Oh,
you already know your price is greater than your AVC. So, we don't need to worry about shutting down here. But
wouldn't it go back to like where you're only making accounting profits? Like
exactly, because here's what's going to happen, right? Firms are
firms
going
will
to enter this
enter.
market, right? So, what happens to the demand for this firm? If there's more
It
firms
goes
out there, the demand for this firm will decrease, okay? Because demand goes down, what happens to marginal revenue?
if demand goes down, marginal revenue goes down.
Yes, it does. So therefore, we're going to have a new demand curve, something like this, and then a new marginal revenue curve, something like that. Okay? So we're shifting those in. So now we'll do MR equals MC. Find the quantity. Find the price. And you can see that your price is also the same as what? The
Is
ATC.
isn't it? But there it's not the same. The ATC is lower, no?
Well, see how it comes down and it touches that point?
Yeah.
That's where it's equal.
Oh.
Okay? So, yeah. So basically, when firms enter, the firm's demand decreases, and that's going to decrease price until price equals ATC, because this is your long run equilibrium. Okay? Yep. Yep. So this is what you were winning before. Okay. So like here was your price, and here was your ATC. Okay. So you were earning profits, but then because of the decrease in demand, decreasing price, decreasing quantity, profits decrease. Okay. Now, that's what happens when there's profits. Firms will enter. When there's losses, on the other hand, okay, so we're having losses right now. What happens in the long run? Firms are going to exit. So what happens to this firm here? Yep, so the firm's demand is going to go up. So what can they do to price? And because the price is going up, their quantity will also go up as well. So therefore, we're going to increase demand, something like that, increase marginal revenue, something like that. So now we're here at this point. We'll find the new quantity. We'll find the new price, which you can see is the same as your ATC.
Matthew, one question.
Yeah.
Why, when we're doing losses, don't like why do other firms shut down but we don't?
So
Because the
we
average
shut down
cost.
because our price is going to be greater than AVC. But other firms are going to have losses where their prices are lower than AVC. So they
So
will
this
shut down.
it's lower than the AVC.
So
Then they have
ours,
to.
exactly. So ours is above AVC. So we're going to operate, right? But when these firms exit here, their price is lower than their AVC. So they shut down.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. Alrighty. So the price is going to increase all the way up until price equals ATC. Cool. All right. All right. Now, Joseph, you mentioned it earlier about zero economic profits, right? So that's the key thing about price equals ATC, right? That's where you're breaking even. That's where you have zero
Economic profit.
economic profits, right? And also, key thing, you are having positive accounting profits. Okay? So because you're having positive accounting profits, we call this normal profits. If you're making zero economic profits, you're making a normal profit. Because if, let's say, your total revenue is 1,000, right? We're going to take out the explicit cost. What are explicit costs? They're not fixed per se. Salary, because you're trying to pay your workers for work. Okay. That's another explicit cost. Rent, cost of machines, cost of materials, everything related to business is an explicit cost. So let's call that 600. So that means your accounting profit is how much? 400. Now, we're going to be counting the
So what would be the economic profit there?
so let's say the implicit cost which is what, Joseph? What is the implicit cost?
The economic profit.
Well, what's an example of an implicit cost?
I don't know.
So it's going to be like the opportunity cost.
Oh,
So let's
yeah.
say you're trying to sell burgers here, but you quit your job at the bank to sell burgers. So you're giving up $400 at the bank, right? So when this is happening, you have an economic profit equal to 0. But look, because this is 0,
So you're paying for something with the profit that you made from another thing, basically.
yeah. So basically, you are still earning $400 here, okay? But you're not having to pay the implicit cost. This is something you're giving up. So with the economic profit, you're still going to see an increase of $400 in your bank, right? But the economic profit will say, like, well, in a way, you're earning the same that you used to earn. So you're not earning anything extra here, but you are earning a normal profit. Okay? Any questions here? So that's the long run adjustment, creating the long run equilibrium. Price equals ATC. Cool? Again, it's all based upon the firms entering or exiting. Firms enter, they're going to take some demand away. Firms exit, we're going to add back in some demand. For example, let's look at Bob's Hot Dog Shack here. So Bob has these competitors. As you can see, at the original MR equals MC, we're seeing profits. So what does Joseph do? Joseph enters the market. And when Joseph enters the market just across the street, he's going to take away some customers from Bob. So therefore, Bob's demand shifts to the left. And Bob's demand is going to shift to the left until finally breaking even. Price equals ATC. Okay. Now, if we're earning losses,
But Bob is having profits, so that's bad for Bob.
since when are profits bad?
No, because when Joseph comes in, Bob's demand goes down and Bob's marginal revenue goes down. So
Exactly.
then even. So
Now
before he
he's
was
breaking
making
even. Yep.
so before he was making profits, now he's breaking even. That means that it's better for Bob if Joseph didn't come in, right?
Exactly. That would be true. It would be better for Bob to have Joseph not enter so he can keep his profits. That's very true. But in this case, we can't stop Joseph. He's going to come in.
I'm going. I'm going.
Now, if we're having losses, on the other hand, right, such as here, so you used to be at this price and ATC, so you were making losses here. So Abe across the street, his price is less than AVC. So guess what? He's going to exit. Okay, and by him exiting, those customers that used to go to Abe are now going to Bob. So now Bob's demand and margin revenue will shift to the right. So now he's going from a loss to breaking even. True. So this is the long run adjustment. Now I did want to mention something about what you said, Joseph. So let's say after Joseph comes in and takes the demand away to where now this is happening. So Bob is earning 0 economic profits here, right? Now Bob could do what? What could Bob do as a business in order to increase his profits? By advertising, what happens? There we go. And that increases marginal revenue to where now you're making profits. So by increasing the advertising here, this increases the demand, increasing price, increasing quantity to where now price is greater than ATC. But, hold on here, what happens in the long run? More firms enter. It's as if, yep,
It's a cycle, like
exactly right. It's a cycle. You know why it's a cycle? Because the market always works towards where?
equilibrium.
Equilibrium. Guess what you have here is a long run equilibrium. Guess where you keep coming back to?
Where price equals
Equilibrium.
ATP,
Price
no?
equals ATC. Cool? Very cool. Mhm.
So how do the firms do better than other firms then?
So
Because of
they
that.
need. So let's talk about that. Okay, how does a firm do better? Well, guess what they do with their advertising? They say, "Hey, we're going to come out with this new type of soda, right? This one tastes even better than the previous one." Oh, wow, really? I have to try it. So increasing demand, right? Advertising
Right.
is huge when it comes to trying to increase profits. Another thing you can do is you become more innovative. You lower your cost. If you lower your cost, you can increase your quantity. Lowering your cost, you can now make a profit that way.
So basically you have to find another way because like if you're doing well in the long run you're gonna go back to equilibrium. So you have to find a new product, not product, but like a new type of thing.
Yes. So basically, yeah, there is something that you're going to have to do. You can invest in a new machine, right? Maybe the new machine lowers your marginal cost. That's something. Or maybe you need to find a new way of trying to showcase your burger, right? You need to find a way to get people to buy it again. Maybe you pay your friend that's a doctor to say that eating burgers increases your life by 5 years. Does that sound right, Joseph?
No, it
No.
doesn't.
Does it happen? Probably.
Yeah.
Okay. So
So it's basically all advertisement and marketing and
yeah. So, and you can see that too. Like there's some advertisements that are trying to boost their product. There are other advertisements that are trying to decrease the demand for other firms, right? You've seen those. So either way. So let's talk about allocative efficiency real quick. How do you know you're allocative efficient? Not profit.
where your marginal benefit equals your marginal
That
cost.
is true. It's where your marginal benefit equals marginal cost. So how do we know where that's at?
Where your price equals your marginal
That's
cost.
where your price equals marginal cost. Okay. So, in your opinion, is monopolistic competition allocative efficient? What do you think? You think yes? Okay, Joseph, what do you think?
I don't know.
Okay, there's only one way to find out, and we're going to draw the graph. So, a monopolistic competition is going to choose to operate where?
Profit max.
Profit max every single time, right? So that's their quantity. There's their price. Where is the MC? Is the MC here, 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 or here? Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? It's at 3. Okay. The reason it's at 3 is because at this point here, that's where your marginal revenue equals your marginal cost. So, are we allocative efficient? No. Why not?
No, because price equals marginal benefit, right?
So, the reason we're not allocative efficient is because our price is greater than marginal cost. Okay?
Wasn't it that price is the same as marginal? Oh no.
You are allocative efficient when your price equals marginal cost, and that's going to happen, hello, right here.
Yeah, yeah.
Right here is where your price equals MC. Yeah, it's more about where that price is. Yep.
So what are they? They're productive.
Quantity does matter because when you produce more quantity, the cost is higher.
So they're productive efficient,
Not productive efficient. The only way we know productive efficient is when what happens.
where it's producing at the minimum ATC.
That's it. Where we're producing at the minimum ATC. That's where we have productive efficiency. Yep.
So then, what is it? What are the monopolistic competition?
Yep. Yep. Ferrari, what?
What are the monopolistic competition? Like, what is it?
What is a monopolistic competition?
No, what is it? Like, is it?
Is it
It's not
productive?
productive. No.
What are you asking me?
Like, what type of efficiency is it?
It's not allocative, but let's see if they're productive. Do you think they're productive efficient? Okay. So here we are, right? Are they productive efficient?
No.
No, they're not. Because look,
It would be there. Yeah. It would
there's
be
your minimum ATC, and how you know that's because these two are equal at the minimum
ATC.
ATC. So here is your productive efficient quantity, and here is your profit max quantity. As you can see here, the monopolistic competition is not producing efficiently either. So they're not allocative, and they're not productive efficient. Perfect competition is both in the long run because
So then, what is this?
this is perfect competition.
No, not perfect competition. What is monopolist? What is monopolistic
They're not
competition?
productive and they're not allocative.
Then what are they?
They're a firm. They're a profit maximizing firm.
Oh,
They don't care
so
about society, Joseph,
like a monopoly.
like a monopoly. So in the long run, perfect competition is productive and allocative because they're allocative and they're also productive. In the long run, though, if they were earning profits, such as here, the minimum ATC is here. So not productive efficient here. Yep. And that's going to happen too, right? Because look, if this is your ATC, MR is a straight line. So even if your ATC is down here, you're still going to do MR equals MC here. So allocative efficient. Yep. Always allocated for perfect competition. Only in the long run. So allocated efficient, right? The competitive price is the allocated price. Okay. Since a monopoly is not choosing there, since they are choosing to profit maximize, they are creating deadweight loss. We're losing out some money to society. Okay. Another thing is productive efficiency. They are choosing to be here. They are choosing to profit max. They could produce at a lower cost. But why would they do that? They're not going to do that because they want to maximize profits. So, are they underproducing or overproducing? They are underproducing here. They're making less than what they could do at a lower cost. Okay? Well, in this case, no, actually. Because look, if they if they operated here, that's their price. So in fact, this entire area would be their losses. So that's productive efficiency. Any questions about monopolistic competition? All good? Alrighty. Let's talk about the next thing called oligopolies. The cool thing about oligopolies is that it's kind of like this middle ground between monopolistic competition and monopoly. So we don't have many firms, and it's not one firm either. We have few. We have a few firms. Now these firms are very, very large. So imagine like a monopoly has the entire market demand. Well, these few firms are so large that they are kind of like a monopoly. They have most of the market. They have most of the consumers, right? They have most of the market share. Yeah, and that one's slowly approaching a monopolistic competition because there are more streaming options coming out, and there's more streaming options coming out with that are free too, right?
Could it be like Target and Walmart?
So Target, Walmart, all those different stores, yes, right? Retail stores, right? Especially Walmart and Target, right? Those are pretty big, right?
Yeah, they're huge.
They have most of the sales, so they're going to be considered top heavy. Right? Another thing about oligopolies is that they could sell either a differentiated or standardized good. Differentiated is like cars, right? Like, is a Ford and a Ferrari the same? No. But they're both cars. So, same product, but they're also different. So, differentiated. Okay? Even those streaming services, right? Some offer different kind of shows, right? Same idea of a streaming service, but they offer different products, differentiated. Okay? Also, they could be selling a standardized product, something like oil, something that really can't be changed. Okay? So oligopolies could sell a differentiated or a standardized product. Now, another thing about oligopolies is that they have barriers to entry. This makes it very difficult to enter the market. If it were easy to enter, then guess what? You would be in a monopolistic competition. But because we do have barriers such as high startup cost, okay, this is going to prevent other firms from entering. An example of a high startup cost is like with cars, right? You need the factory, you need the machines, you need the labor. You need a lot of money just to sell one car. And so because it costs so much money just to get started, not everybody can do it. Only the oligopoly firms can do it because they had enough money to get started. The other thing about oligopolies, which is pretty interesting, is this thing of mutual interdependence. So here's what that looks like. Let's say we have a street, okay, and we have gas station A, and they're selling gas at $5, and then we have gas station B, and they're selling at $5. So here's the thing about mutual interdependence. The action of one firm is likely to affect the other. For example, let's say gas station A says, I'm going to charge $4. What does gas station B do? What if they don't? Exactly. So what happens here is gas station B has to change their price. The action of one firm, firm A, affected the other, firm B. Okay? Basically what's going to happen here is they're going to be battling. Okay, so imagine sitting in gas station B and you're looking at gas station A's prices and you're like, okay, if they lower price, what are we going to do? If they raise price, what are we going to do? And so you're trying to figure out what's better for you based off of one or two, right? What are they going to do? So later on, we'll talk about this thing called game theory. Game theory is going to do just that, where you're sitting there and you're like, okay, if they do this, I'm going to do this. If they do that, I'm going to do this. All right? So basically, you're anticipating what's going to happen. So that's a big thing about oligopolies, is because they're so large, right? they're really going to affect one another. Right? Now, how do we know we have an oligopoly? We're going to do a thing called the concentration ratio. What we're trying to do here is gauge how much of the market share is held by a certain number of firms using the ratio. So, for example, 4-firm concentration ratio. What you're looking at is the top 4 firms in the industry. If you added up their market share and you get a number greater than 40, that's going to tell you it's an oligopoly. So in this example here, we got a 4-firm concentration ratio of 85. This would tell us we probably have an oligopoly here. Let me show you an example.
They combine for 40 what?
Okay, so yeah, so that would be a rough estimate of an oligopoly for sure. Yep.
If they combine for 40 market shares?
So let me show you what we're talking about. Let's talk about cars real quick. So Ford, let's say Ford has 45% of the market. Honda has 20%. Toyota has 18% of the market. Chevy has 15%. 40, 60, 80. Okay, and then we have BMW at 1%. Then we have Mercedes at 0.5%. And then we have Ferrari at 0.5%. In terms of the 4-firm concentration ratio, okay, out of the 100% of cars sold, 45 went to Ford, 20 went to Honda, 18 went to Toyota, and 15 went to Chevy. By adding these 4 firms together, you're going to get a concentration ratio of what? 98? Yep. So yeah, definitely an oligopoly here for sure. Okay. So we would consider this to be an oligopoly. Now, what if we were looking at something like burgers, right? There's a lot more burger options out there. There's McDonald's, right? There's Burger Shack. There's Wendy's, Burger King. I live in a place where we have a thing called Whataburger and Burger Boy. No, Arby's doesn't have burgers. They're excluded. Yeah, they only have roast beef sandwiches. I don't know if they have actual beef like hamburgers. Um, White Castle. Does anybody go to White Castle anymore? Okay, but it does exist. So basically, the White Castle, right, would be like 1%, right? McDonald's, it might have like 25%. Burger Shack, they got like 5%. Wendy's might have 5%. Burger King might have 10, right? Whataburger has like, let's say 4, right? And Burger Boy will definitely have like 3, 2%, right? So in terms of this 4-firm concentration ratio, let's say this is 9. In terms of this 4-firm concentration ratio, you're going to get 39. Now, 39 might be closer to monopolistic competition.
So like a monopoly would be like 10%.
A monopoly would be 100%.
Oh, so like you're making, all right, yeah. So there's no other firms.
It has to be 40 as a rough guideline for oligopolies. 39. Oh yeah. Oh, I can't do math. Sorry. Whoop, 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 whoop. There we go. Thank you. So this would be closer to a monopolistic competition here because the competition is kind of spread out, right? We don't have like a concentrated few firms versus here, right? Those top 4 firms, most of the sales are there, so they control most of the market. Now, what's interesting about the oligopolies here is that Ford, Honda, Toyota, and Chevy, because they have 98% of the market and they're an oligopoly, they are leading the industry. And what they could do is they can get together and they can all change their prices at the same time. So basically, Ford, Honda, Toyota, and Chevy, they all get together and they're like, hey, what if we all lower prices? That way, BMW, Mercedes, Ferrari, we wipe them out. Okay? So what happens with an oligopoly is because they're so large, they can actually act like a monopoly. Now, does that sound legal? No. So what we're going to talk about next time is a thing called collusion, where that kind of happens, and then we'll lead into this idea of game theory. Now, game theory is really cool because basically it goes back to like gas station A and B. Like, what is going to happen here? Should we raise prices or lower prices? It's going to be pretty interesting to see the final outcome. All right. So I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you. Bye bye.